Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm going to be painting. Just doing some touch-ups on this before I unleash it. Listening, watching Painting with Becca, because she's fucking rad. And
now that we've finished painting, all that's left to do is take off the tape in an extremely aesthetic and not at all frustrating manner, and we will be pretty much free to start our experiment. Except for a couple of things. And that's that we still need to replace the mirror and restore these drawer pulls that someone had inexplicably painted gray for some reason to their former glory. Another optional step is to dye your hair to better match the vibes of the room, admire your handiwork, and seek the approval of the world's toughest critic. Don't worry about any harsh artistic feedback. They'll fix that for you before the final reveal.
ooh,
Completely finished painting the bathroom, and we were ready to begin the experiment. And this
I don't know if I could handle
experiment is going to spend 5 hours in
the
the
pink
bathroom,
bathroom.
basically just
I can barely handle doing these touch-ups. This painting is making my eyes hurt so bad.
have like a base
Like,
where I spent 5
it's
hours
so
in the
hard.
bathroom. Technically, yes.
Like,
However, I've spent a lot of hours in
it's so vibrant,
generally
and there's
speaking, how I feel sitting in our bathroom.
so much vibration between the colors.
Let's go to our and see how it makes
Good lord. This is one of those where I love it, but I'm not about to be able to live with this one.
It's been 5 hours, and here's what I've learned. Our little experiment had some very
Causes me some issues.
results, to say the least. Number one, I was
Ah,
expecting that I would feel kind of irritated or annoyed because the color was so ridiculously bright and so
let's see.
ridiculously pink. But what's been really weird is that the color was so bright and garish that it actually made me happy because I thought it was so funny. Now, granted,
That is a nice side effect of pink.
a couple of months in there. Besides the fact that my back started hurting super badly because I didn't bring myself in any chairs or anything like that. I kind of just spent the entire 5 hours on the counter, which was not a part of the experiment. But anyway, what I found really interesting was that I actually feel like I had a better time than I would have in just a white room. For lack of a more specific term, it felt very visually interesting and engaging to be in a room with such a bright yet somehow also subdued color. But because I wasn't completely sure of the results and whether they were based on just personal bias, my information about the pink, etc., I decided to bring in a little guinea pig. My husband. You just been in here? Did you not want to come out? It's been like an hour.
Well, I guess that says something.
Leave that like hour that you spent in the bathroom.
That would be fun to just like paint a room
Yeah, it was great. I was like, I would love to
in
paint
that crazy pink.
that color. It was so relaxing. I was at peace.
So did the pink room actually do anything? Did it make me feel happier, more content, more relaxed, etc.? Honestly, yes. When I compared it to how I usually feel in that realized that I had closed both doors while I was painting, which means that I was super high on paint fumes, and I had a headache for hours afterwards. So maybe don't do that. I probably lost like 10% of my brain function that day. So, do you think that the color of the walls around you actually influences your mental state? Do you feel like this particular shade of pink has a greater psychological effect than other colors? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. How do you think you would feel if you were trapped in this room for 5 hours? And in addition, I would love to do a longer term experiment. I didn't give myself a ton of time inside this room or a ton of time isolated. So if you would like to see that, where I try and attempt a longer term experiment where I stay in there for a couple of days and see how I feel then comment down below, and I might do it and I might not.
As you wish.
I'm very intrigued, to say the least. Thank you for watching, and leave your ideas in the comments below as to more experiments with color we can do in the future. And with that, I will see you next time. Very, stimulating. Wrong word. Forget I said that word. For lack of a better term, it felt very visually stimulating. And I realized I was saying it's like one. Stop being so specific, another half.
This video is brought to you by Magellan TV, a new documentary streaming service founded by filmmakers whose mission is to tell great stories that have defined the human experience. Well, this looks interesting. It doesn't appear to look like any of the other works I've worked on. It's not a portrait or a landscape, certainly not a still life. In fact, it doesn't appear to have any narrative image. It's abstract, which makes it fundamentally different. But it is still paint on canvas, stretched around a wood support, so it's really the same. It has holes, some small, some not so small.
Oof.
The paint layer is flaking, and it's really, really, really dirty. So,
Almost done.
just the same as any other painting, right? But the paint is really thick. The impasto is heavy. So that's going to require a different approach. Or maybe a different set of materials. Or a whole different way of thinking. Whether it's the same or different, or a little bit of both, it's here. And now, I've got to figure out what to do with it. And while this painting is the same, but it is also different. And that difference, both in terms of content and approach to working, makes it interesting. I mean, the same thing all the time would be really boring. And so before I get started, I want to tell you about Magellan TV, a place that's different. Magellan is a new type of documentary streaming service founded by filmmakers. And as a result, they have the most varied content available anywhere. History, technology, war, biography, arts and culture, just about everything. They have over 3,000 documentaries to choose from. You can watch it anywhere, TV, smartphone, any device. And best of all, no ads, no commercial interruptions, so you can fall deep into the content. And deep, I fell into precision, the measure of all things. A wild and expansive journey from painting caves to the exploration of outer space. The series looks at how we developed the 7 international units of measurement for time, length, mass, brightness, current, and the measure of atoms, and how those have shaped the course of history. Now, originally, Magellan was going to offer one free month, but they've upped the game for my viewers to 30% off an annual membership. That means you get over 3,000 ad-free documentaries for less than $3.50 a month. And this offer is available to people that have let their subscriptions lapse, which is ridiculously kind and kind of amazing. Head over to try.magellantv.com/Baumgartner Restoration or click the link in the description below to take advantage of this offer and try something different. Now, the first thing that I need to do for this painting, and generally every painting that I work on, is remove the canvas from the stretcher. And so I'll grab a whole bunch of nifty tools that I have: pliers, screwdrivers, staple pullers, tack pullers, and this painting has been secured to the canvas by the artist with staples. I have talked at great length about why I dislike staples. It is not simply because they are difficult to remove and because I feel that they are an inferior method of attaching canvas to wood, but it is also because of the damage they do. When I remove this staple, take a look. Not only are there two holes, but the bar itself cuts into the canvas, and now that area needs to be reinforced. So there doesn't appear to be any good reason to use staples. Now, I did mention that they're kind of a pain to remove. I have this nifty staple puller, which makes my life somewhat easier, but you can see on my face that my frustration with staples is kind of an existential one. I don't know that I will ever get over it. I'm working on it, though. Trust me. Now, with all of the staples removed, I can flip over the painting and start to remove the stretcher from the canvas. And this is a big canvas, which is why I choose to remove the stretcher from it rather than it from the stretcher. It also affords me the opportunity to make sure that there are no errant staples that I have missed that are still holding onto the canvas that would otherwise cause a deformation when I do lift this stretcher off. Now, over time, any painting that sits anywhere, even inside of a home, will accumulate dust, dirt, gunk, and grime between the stretcher bar and the canvas. And I choose to use a simple bristle brush to remove it rather than a vacuum, because the suction of a vacuum could grab onto that canvas and crinkle it or distort it. Now, whenever I move a big canvas, I have to be careful because, well, it's big, and I have found that swift, decisive actions are the best way to go. And so, when I drop this canvas down, it may look sloppy, but the cushion of air escaping from under the weight of the canvas as it falls pads it. Now, this puncture here is quite distorted, and before I do anything to the painting, I want to press it flat. Now, this painting has a lot of impasto, so I'm putting some felt and some siliconized release paper down on the face of the painting. I'm dampening up a piece of cotton blotter paper, and I'm just going to press it onto the surface of the canvas. I'm going to add a second dry blotter paper to help the absorption of the water, a piece of copper to distribute the pressure evenly, and then two medium weight weights. I don't want to press too hard, just enough so that over a couple of days, as the pressure and the moisture do their work, they flatten out the canvas. And this is not the final step, but it's essential to working with this canvas in the future. Again, swift actions, being confident where I'm moving, and also how I'm handling the canvas are pretty critical. I'm going to flip the canvas over now so that I have the face up so I can start the cleaning process. And for this canvas, I'm going to be using an enzyme cleaner. I've made some tests and I've found that this is actually the most appropriate solution for this painting. Every painting has a different accumulation of surface grime, and because no two are alike, sometimes we have to use different methods of cleaning. And because this painting has a heavy impasto, that is the built-up texture of the paint, I'm not going to go right off with a rolled cotton swab, because that cotton swab, as I'm putting pressure on it, could catch on some of that delicate impasto and break it. So I'm using a bristle brush dipped into the enzyme cleaning solution, and I'm just going to agitate this surface grime loose. Now, this paint layer is fairly stable, so I don't have to worry about the agitation. And once the bristle brush has loosened it up, I can come back with that rolled cotton swab and just pick up that grime. I'm not using much pressure here, I'm just using it as effectively a sponge, just to pick up that solution. And you can see, just in this one small area, how dirty this painting is. It's a vibrant painting, or, well, underneath all of this grime, it is a vibrant painting. Or, I should say, once all of this grime is removed, it will be a vibrant painting.
That's right. When I was watching, switched over from painting with Becca to Baumgartner's Restorations, which is...
It takes a long time. And part of the reason it takes a long time is because of that textural impasto. I just have to be careful because
it's fun. He's talking about touching up canvases with lots of impasto, which this would be one. And I'm actually taking some of his blotting techniques to erase some of the teal that got on top of the cobalt turquoise, and trying to take into account how the light is catching
it does a really good job of finding all of that grime and making it detached
and making it
from the surface of the painting. Now, there are
this is one of those paintings where I
used toothbrushes, I have used nylon brushes, but a small bristle brush
should have done
the tool that is most effective
in a different manner.
delicate. And then
Normally it would be base layer paint, this blue texturally thing, and then the main Scully. But I did the main Scully first, so I'm having to go through and make it look like I planned it out.
It doesn't need much additional effort.
And
Now,
this,
cleaning paintings with a heavy impasto does take more time. It is more difficult, only in that it takes more attention. It's nothing that you can do mindlessly.
trying to get it so minimal brushstrokes show.
You know your materials, you know the grime or the varnish you're removing.
Actually, these raised areas.
Formulaic and repetitive. And that's actually good because it keeps consistency. But with a heavily impasto painting, every square inch must require more focus because you're dealing with effectively a sculpture, a three-dimensional object, and you have to think in 3D terms, not just on the surface, but in and around all of that texture. So while it is still cleaning a painting, it's just a little different than a flat one.
This area I'm touching up.
This painting had several planar distortions, or
I definitely don't envy anybody that might be trying to conserve this in the future. Good luck. But honestly, I view art as being very temporary.
So I'm laying down a piece of siliconized PET film, and on top of that, I'm rolling out some felt.
And when it comes down to selling and stuff, it's more of like, does a rich person think that they can get an insurance claim going on it? Because I need to not touch that area. I fucked it up. I should stop talking.
The areas that are high would prevent the surrounding areas from making contact.
I'm going to have to go back in with the...
That would potentially leave an area that doesn't have downward pressure. So, with the vacuum extraction tubes installed, I can turn on the hot table and turn on the vacuum pump. And the vacuum pump can exert 30 mercury inches of pressure, which is quite enough, in fact, to crush that impasto. So I'm going to lower that pressure down to about, 5 or so mercury inches.
Well, shit.
Enough to get it flat, but not so much.
Fucking hate this canvas now. It's fucking dookie.
You can see how that felt is conforming to that texture. Now, once the canvas has been brought up to temperature, allowed to cool, and transferred over to another table where it's pressed under weights for a few days, it can cool down. And I'll remove the cotton blotter paper,
Alright.
the felt, and the mylar, and you can see that texture.
So,
And I don't
this thing
To address this tear, that is a solution, but it's not one that I favor. It's much like
is
putting the whole arm into a cast because of a broken
amazing,
Yes, it solves the problem.
except for this one spot
It's a little excessive when a
right there.
smaller, lighter
I can't stand that.
would be appropriate.
I'm going to walk away from it.
Because this tear was
See that little wavering in the line? That makes this utter garbage. It's dookie now. It's just because I slipped on the brush
create an inlay to fill this gap. And the inlay is important
right there.
because it helps
It's
aid
dookie.
in the structural repair, but it also makes sure that the filling unit has something to stick to. If I didn't do this, it would be much harder to add
That makes me sad.
medium and do the retouching later on. So I've chosen a piece of canvas from my old canvas stock that matches the color, the weight, and the weave.
Hopefully,
I've traced it to fit
I can use the same technique that I've been using to bring
ever so carefully.
that skull to the foreground to touch up the very background.
Bridging is one whereby
But there's so much effort to get the brush strokes down.
adhesive and then laid down across the open wound perpendicularly, much like sutures. Well, not really, because these pieces of bridging strands don't actually penetrate into the canvas. So these are maybe more akin to butterfly closures. They sit on the surface and they hold the wound closed.
Anyways, that's how it goes sometimes.
This canvas is not going to be under such tension that this wound or this tear is going to open up.
Hours of effort and care,
If I don't take corrective action,
some deliberate chaos,
with humidity changes.
and this is why I normally don't spend too much time on a canvas.
And they're really thin. Even though this is Belgian linen, which is incredibly strong,
When you try too hard, you end up losing.
much on its own to support this canvas. But by using many of them laid down across this tear, once the adhesive dries,
That makes me extraordinarily
it will
sad.
take a tremendous amount of force to open up this tear. And I've conducted experiments on scrap canvases to see just how strong this
Well,
is, and it is remarkable.
maybe there'll be a part
I am
2
always surprised at how much force
and this being resurrected. If not, Siegfried will no longer exist. That's what I get for naming it before finishing it. It's like when you find a cat. It's like, oh, it must be a stray, and then it turns out to be your neighbors, and it's like, ah, shit. I just fell for this cat, etc. I mean, whatever. Fuck.
And this process can be a little tedious. Thankfully, this is a
Oh, it's got so much pop. I mean, I'm saddened, but I think, I don't know. Anyways, still a long one. Have a good one.